Hi everyone, my name's Dave, this is Wilde Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a book buying tag. Aren't we, Lottie? This is Lottie. She wanted to be on, so I thought I'd include her. Roll the titles. Hi everyone, welcome back. As I said in the intro, this is the book buying tag, and I've seen this on a couple of channels. I've seen this on Curtis Books and Films, and I'm just sort of jumping on the back of that tag really. So I haven't been tagged by anyone. So is that allowed? Can you just jump on the back of a tag? I've seen other people do it, so I assume it's fine. And I've also seen Steve Partridge done a brilliant version of this tag over on his channel. And I shall link both those channels in the What's It downstairs. I'm just going to jump straight in. There's 13 questions, and I don't want this to be a super long video because they're boring. So question 1: where do you buy your books from? I tend to buy them. Let me tell you a little bit about where I live. So I live on the London and Kent border. In a borough called, without giving too much away, it's called the London Borough of Bexley. So it's sort of part London, part Kent. We're about 15-20 minutes away from the countryside in one direction and 15-20 minutes away from the centre of London, maybe half hour, 35 minutes. In the other direction is London. And so the problem is we haven't got any independent bookshops near us. I would love to use an independent bookshop, but we haven't got any. We've got a Waterstones in a very large shopping centre nearby called Blue Water. It's about 10-15 minutes away from me. So other than that, we haven't got an awful lot of choice if you want to go to a bricks and mortar bookstore. So in answer to the question, before I go off on too much of a tangent, is where do you buy your books from? If there was an independent bookstore, I would use it, and I would use it every week. So if anyone in the London Borough of Bexley is thinking about opening an independent bookshop, please let me know, because I would be one of your best customers. Other than that, I use Waterstones. I do use, I'm going to fess up here, I do use Amazon. But I sort of, it's silly really, I sort of hate myself for using Amazon. And I know a lot of the more experienced booktubers use Book Depository. But as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but isn't Book Depository owned by Amazon? So if you want to do conscience-free online shopping with a clear conscience, not conscience-free, with a clear conscience, and you're using Book Depository, it's still part of Amazon. So, you know, there are a couple of independent bookshops that we go to regularly. One is Harbour Books in Whitstable. So if you're ever down that way, look them up, because that's a great little bookshop. There's one in Sevenoaks, not too far from us, called the Sevenoaks Bookshop. But no, they are a bit scarce. So I am forced sometimes to use Amazon, and I don't like to use Amazon for various reasons that would probably be too long to go into for a tag video like this, but maybe we'll do that in the future. We'll do the state of the book publishing industry in the future, and I definitely want to do something for Books in My Bag in October. So maybe I'll go around and visit some of these independent bookshops that I like. But so that was the long and rambling answer to question 1. Question 2, do you ever pre-order books, and if so, do you do this in store or online? Do I pre-order books? Yes, occasionally, but I don't really see the point anymore, because you don't get them any earlier. I can see the point if it's going to be a really, really popular book, like there's a Philip Pullman book coming out later in the year, which everyone seems to be chatting about. So if you're desperate to get a first edition copy of it, then I suppose pre-ordering would be the sensible thing to do. But other than that, no. I often buy books on the first day of release. I did that recently with Sarah Winman, and I did that recently with Matt Haig. Just because I really wanted to read them, and I wanted to buy them on the first day of release. So pre-ordering, I think I've done click and collect a couple of times, but generally no, I don't really see the point in pre-ordering. On average, how many books do you buy a month? On average, probably about half a dozen, 6. New books, not every month. On average, I don't know actually. I don't know. How many on average do you buy a month? I should have thought these questions through really before I started answering. But I don't know. I tend to buy more second-hand books, to be honest with you, because we go to a lot of. I should have included this in question 1. Viewers, I buy a lot of books in charity shops, and because you can often find little gems that you haven't heard of before or you haven't come across before, and it's a really, really good way of buying books. And I've got a little tip. What I do when I go in a charity shop or a second-hand bookshop, what I tend to do is I know from experience the kind of publishers that publish the books that I want to read. So what I do, when you're faced with huge amounts of shelving, and there's a bookshop in Rochester called Baggins Book Bazaar, I think they're called. I might link it down below. They are the biggest second-hand bookshop in this country, biggest in the UK. And there is just room after room after room of books, all divided up into genre and subgenre and different categories of books. So what I do, and I use this for any charity shop I go in, we've got in the village where I live, there's 4 or 5 charity shops, and a lot of them have got quite a good selection of books. So what I tend to do, I look for the publishers' logos on the bottom of the spine, and I will just scan the shelves and look at all the logos, and I will take out and look at anything published by my favourite publishers, people that write, because I read a lot of literary fiction. So I'll look at anything by Faber, I'll look at anything by Vintage, Tinder Press, Two Roads, Salt, Vintage, have I said Vintage? Penguin. So yeah, I'll look at anything by the publishers that I trust and I know publish the kind of books that I want to read, and that saves me a lot of time. It just saves me a lot of time with your neck craned to one side looking at everything, because there's just too much to look at sometimes. So that's how I do charity shop book buying. Where did we get to? Question 4, do you use your local library? No, and I know I should, but no, I don't, because if I borrow a book and I like it, I tend to want to own that book. So I just cut the library out really and just go to the bookstore. So we have got a local library, and it is quite good. But no, sadly no, I don't use it. But we should use libraries more, because if we don't use them, they're going to disappear. And I'll tell you what's happened locally. Because of local government cuts in funding, a lot of the libraries are going over to volunteer management. So a collective of locals will take that library over and take on its running costs between them and run it as a voluntary organisation. And that's been quite successful around here, because they've increased their membership. They're putting on events, author events. They're introducing more reading groups. So yeah, I should be more involved in the local library scene, and maybe when I get some more time, I will be. That was question 4. Question 5, I'm reading this off the trusty iPad again. If so, how many books do you borrow at a time? I've got no idea how many books you can borrow from a library nowadays. When I was a kid, and I used to use libraries because my mum used to take me, that's how I got into books, because my mum would drag me to the library. I used to like going to the library. Yeah, very fond memories of going to libraries. But nowadays, I've got no idea of how many books you can borrow. Probably half a dozen. Don't know. So I'm adjusting my monitor again. What is your opinion on library books? Yeah, they're good. What is your opinion on library books? Yes, it's actually, I've just thought something for people that probably can't afford to buy new books, because let's be honest, books are expensive. Books are expensive. They're expensive items, but as book lovers, as a booktube community, we love it, so we don't mind spending that sort of money on books. But for people that are low income or haven't got just the disposable income, then libraries are a godsend. There's a lady at work I work with, and she visits the library 2-3 times a week. So yeah, they're very important places, and we should look after them and protect them. And sounding hypocritical here because I don't go to the library. So question 7, how do you feel about charity shops, second-hand books? Love them. I'm in charity shops every week, several times a week. Yeah, so I love them. I think they're a brilliant idea. You find books that you wouldn't normally have found. I've found some absolute gems that I wouldn't have heard of otherwise if it hadn't have been sitting on a charity bookshop shelf. And also there's a great second-hand bookshop in Whitstable where you can often get first edition signed editions. They're not a charity shop, they're just a second-hand bookstore, so there is a markup on their books, but yeah, that's good. So question 8, do you keep your read and TBR pile together on the same bookshelf or not? No, my bookshelves are a mess, not just these ones. But there's about 4 or 5 bookshelves downstairs, and it's all over the place. There's read books, there's to be read books, there's fiction in with non-fiction, there's biography in with maps. It needs sorting out. But I haven't decided yet what to do with the sorting out. I don't know whether to sort them alphabetically by author or by size, or yeah, I don't know is the answer. So yes, they're all over the place. Okay, question 9, do you plan to read all the books that you own? Yes, because what would be the point of owning them? What's the point of owning a book that you never plan to read? There's no point whatsoever, just to see its spine sitting on a shelf. If you don't plan to read it, why do you want to own it? So yes, I plan to read everything I own, but I don't think if I lived 3 lifetimes I'll ever get the time. But I do plan to. That's the difference. I may never achieve it. You do hear of people that go on, they self-impose a book buying ban on themselves so that they can read their collection and not buy books for a year. But I haven't got the willpower for that. I'm sorry. But yes, I do plan to read everything I own at some point. Question 10. What do you do with the books that you own that you feel you will never read or felt that you did not enjoy? What do you do with the books that you own that you feel you will never read? I'll probably give them away to a charity shop. If I had a book on my shelf, and it wouldn't be on my shelf unless at some point in the past I thought I'm going to read that. But if then I change my mind and think, no, you know what, I'm probably not going to read that, then I'd give it to a charity shop. Easy. Question 11, have you ever donated books? Yes, lots and hundreds. I have given hundreds of books away in the past when I've been short of space. Read ones, although I do tend now to want to keep, especially hardbacks. I don't give a lot of hardbacks away because they're lovely, and after I've read them, if it's been a good experience, if it's been a good book, I want to keep it, because there's always the chance that I might want to reread it at some point in the future. So the answer is yes, I've donated hundreds. Have you ever been on a book buying ban? No, as I said before, I haven't got the willpower. I just know it wouldn't work. I walk past. It would be an easy thing to say, and yeah, okay, Dave, you're not going to buy any more books. And then I'd walk past the shop window and see something, and I'd be in there like a shot. Or I'd watch a booktube video and someone raving about a book, and I'd just buy it straight away. So have you? No, I couldn't. I couldn't ban myself from buying books. Question 13. Do you feel that you buy too many books? I don't feel I buy too many books. Others in this house might disagree. But no, I don't think I buy too many books. Who can have too many books? It's crazy. You crazy? So that was it. That was the end. That brings us to the end, dear viewer, of the book buying tag on BookTube. Thank you very much to Curtis at Curtis Books and Films. Link him below. Thanks very much to Steve Partridge. Link him below. If you know of anyone else that's done one of these tags that's really good, I think Peter Likes Books did a really good one. So go and check that out, because that's quite a good channel as well. So that's it. This is going out on a Wednesday night. You probably see me again on Sunday. Until we meet again, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Wartime Childhood. I haven't read this yet. That was the books, wasn't me. I'm gonna have to cut.